One of the things that some people have asked me recently that I feel like I should talk to you a little bit about is why even really be very active in your professional association?
AORN is the knowledge base for everything that we do to provide safe patient care.
Yes.
And I talk about this a lot when I talk about leadership. And one of the things that I did is I had my own copy of the recommended practice. That was something that I invested in. And I had a Clinique bag, and it was vinyl, so I could wipe it down.
Yes.
And it went into the OR with me every single day. And if I didn't know what AORN thought about something,
Yes.
I would look it up. And then people kind of started referring to me as, oh, she's that AORN nurse. And they would come and say, hey, what does AORN say about counting laps? And I was like, oh, well, I can tell you what they say. And I would tell them. And if I didn't know, I would say, here, I have the book.
Yes.
Let's look it up together. And just having that as a cornerstone and a foundation of my practice,
Yes.
that was like probably the best gift of my membership. And then I think the other part is just that collegiality and getting to know people from all across the country and around the world. And as I grew through my leadership journey at work, people would ask me, well, what is the community standard? And I would like, well, let me find out.
Yes.
I can find out what they're doing in California. I can find out what they're doing in Alabama. I can find out what they're doing in Canada.
Yeah.
And I would send out an email and to a host of people and say, hey, we're looking at updating our policy on retained surgical items or site marking for surgery. Can you send me your current policy, or what are you doing and how are you doing this? And within minutes, I would have numerous policies that I could look at and help to edit our policy and decide what we were going to do and how we were going to do it.
I think about when I first became involved, and it was really, at my job, it was like the thing everybody talked about in the break room. Like, who's going to AORN? Who's going to get off for work? Who's going to get the ability to have those training days for that? And so it rotated every year because everybody wanted to go, but everybody could not leave the unit. And so it was such an exciting thing. I was in Periop 101 and I was learning, and I was like, I don't know what this is. And so I learned a little bit more about it, and I was like, wow, all the leaders were so excited. When everybody got off work, they went to the meetings. It was an exciting thing. And I had to understand at that moment of, why is this so exciting? And so many things that they talked to me about was that connection piece, but also this is how we take care of our patients. This is where we are going to get the best evidence-based practice information. This is where we are going to learn, because there's really nobody else to tell nurses how to do their work in the operating room, and what is the best way to handle something. So I think to myself now, like, how do we do that now? Like, how do we make sure that our up and coming perioperative nurses know about AORN or professional associations in general? And how do we get them involved? Like, what do you think is going to be in this day and time? Because I was a little bit younger then.
Yeah.
Things are different now.
Yeah.
Like, how do we now get in front of people and create that type of excitement so that because if they can just taste it a little bit, they're hooked.
Right.
We just got to get them a little taste of it.
You get them to that national meeting, somehow, some way, kicking, screaming, dragging them.
Yes.
And then they become connected to the association, connected to each other, and then they want to come back for the next year. But I think a lot of that starts with the leadership.
Yes.
I remember back in 2001 when I first graduated from nursing school and first joined AORN, and being a part of the association on the local level, our leaders were all there.
Yes.
Our managers went to the meeting, our directors went to the meeting, our executive directors, VPs, everybody was at that meeting.
When you are a part of your association, that it shows a lot of pride.
Yes.
and what what do you think is important? What are you going to take from this to bring back to your practice? What do you think that a nurse can get from ARN when it comes to being a member, and then they want to do more than what they can do in their own facility?
If you really want to learn the intricacies of perioperative nursing, getting involved in that committee work is something that is just it's very rewarding. Being able to, like, if you're on the on one of the task forces that's helping to build a toolkit for other people to use, those kind of rewards they're very satisfying personally and professionally. But moving into whether it's the nominating committee or being on the board of directors, it's just very different. It's not deciding what concurrent sessions are going to be at Expo. It's about how do we sustain this company as a leader in the perioperative field, and it's not your usual. And I think that's kind of different for a staff nurse to take on. I think that they can do it, and they bring a different and interesting perspective to the boardroom.
Yes.
But just, I think having that involvement it's very rewarding, but it's also, it's just not what people would think that it is. So I think that if somebody came to me and said, hey, I want to be a leader in ARN, I'm like, okay, give me your elevator speech. What is your why?